Welcome, neighbor. I am so glad you're here. If this is your first time joining us, welcome to the Growth in Between, the space between where you have been and who you are becoming. Every week, we gather around honest conversations that remind us we're all growing through something. Today's conversation is especially meaningful because I get to share it with someone who's been growing alongside me for nearly 14 years. My husband, Romberical, or as many people know him, Robie. Before we talk about marriage, I also want to say this is not a conversation about having a perfect marriage. It is a conversation about what we are learning as we continue choosing each other. I want everyone to meet the man behind the title, husband. Robie, please say hello to our neighbors.
Hello.
Babe, before I ask my first question, I just want us to have the kind of conversation we would have if the microphones weren't here. Honest, relaxed, curious, and hopefully one that encourages someone else to have meaningful conversations in their own home. To our neighbors, before we begin, I'd like to invite you to do something with us. Take a deep breath. Set down whatever distractions you can and simply join us in today's conversation. All right, let's grow together. Here's the first question. Babe, who are you outside of being my husband?
I think you said the first thing was babe. No, no. Who am I outside of being your husband? I think, I'm a good son. I'm a good father. I'm a good brother. I love what I do as far as work and I love my church. I have a lot of faith in a lot of things that God puts in my vision. I believe strongly in what the capabilities he's given me and the tools that he's given me. And I have a strong belief that whatever it is that needs to get done can get done. There's so many different things I could say about myself in the sense of who I feel like I am, but I guess that's just a surface sort of answer, I guess.
Okay, I appreciate that. Well, the next question. How would you describe yourself to someone who has never met you?
Careful. I'm one of those people who I observe. I pay attention. I watch people's character. This lets me know if this is someone who I will allow in my space, because the space that I have is already designed for me to wake up happy, to wake up thankful, to wake up having faith in what God can do for that day. Anything that comes in between that to, sidetrack me or anything like that, I kind of stir away from that kind of energy. However, I am the type of person that I love broken people for some reason, because I guess I've been broken in the past. There's still pieces I'm picking up right now. So there are people who are broken that I do allow in. It just depends on their energy. But as far as them seeing me, I'm just the type of person that's very careful on who, when I meet someone, just basically what I said was a little bit of detail in what I was saying, but I would say careful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guarded.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Definitely. Okay. Thank you for answering that. Next question is, what brings you joy?
My wife.
Okay, that better be the answer. That better be the answer. No, I'm just kidding.
I gotta say that first, because if I don't say that, then no. Of course, Christ brings me the most joy. My testimony stems from me being incarcerated and dealing with things in the streets before that. And I've experienced a lot of things in my life. However, I had a lot of fun in what I was doing and, but there were days that it felt very temporal. It was a temporary kind of joy, a temporary kind of happiness. But one thing I learned is that, during the times of my life where I didn't understand, how I was going to make it that day or week or month, I went and I just started talking to God and started going into that secret place. And I noticed that my secret place with God is the most happiest, joyful place that I can ever be in, because the more I pray, I've learned, the happier I become, because throughout the day, I don't know, it just changes the whole chemistry of every daily event or people I experience or whatever, because I'm already primed and prepped ahead of time, talking to God. And, I'm telling you, when you really talk to God, which I need to do more of, I'm preaching to the choir right now, but when you really talk to God and when you really hone in on, like when Jesus went away and he went away and he prayed, when he came back, he did the biggest miracles. So the reason why I feel like the place that is the most joyful for me is with God is because that's when I've seen the most miracles. There's times I prayed myself out of, a broken heart. I prayed myself out of fear. I prayed myself out of, maybe unforgiveness, things that I've dealt with, in the past. And it just changed my whole day, and that's how I like waking up now, so I know this is kind of a drawn out answer.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
But, and I think it starts there. And I think, the overflow of that or the residual of that, comes from my wife and my kids and, those who I hold dear to my heart and my family, and even my church family. Like, all of that plays a part of just the joy that I have every day.
Love that. Love that. Thank you for that answer. Next question. What makes you feel most like yourself?
When I'm not around fake people. I don't like being fake around anyone. If I have to change who I am to be around you, then I'm not going to do that, first of all. But if I feel like I have to do that, I think that would be the time that I wouldn't feel like myself. However, I wouldn't do that. So, I'm just the type of person that can't be fake around anybody. I have to be me. I feel like everybody has to authentically be them because God is very creative. He doesn't like creating things that are similar to other things or, it's everything in the world is different.
Yeah.
Every, thing, in the world is created with different colors and, different ways of thinking and things like that. And I feel like God created me just as beautiful, so I feel like, I like walking in my authenticity.
Yeah.
And if I'm around fake people, I can't, I'm still going to be me, but, I think, that's probably the time that I want to show who I really am around those types of individuals. Not that I care, right? Not that I focus on that. I mean, just for the sake of the question, also, I think I'm most authentically myself. I have to keep going back because this is where, around my wife and kids, I know that my wife is a safe place. I know that my children, they're a safe place. Even my mom, is a safe place. Sometimes my brother is a safe place. Sometimes he isn't. It just depends on, how he's feeling that day and how I'm feeling. So I can't totally blame him, but my sister's, safe place. But just, I feel like I can be myself around them authentically. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if I answered that right, but
no, I mean, and that's your answer. You know what I mean? And it's never a wrong answer because that's really where you feel most like yourself, you know? And I feel like that's a real, true, honest answer. I mean, I think everybody in some shape or form wants to be around people that are really genuine and real.
It makes you want to be real.
Yeah, of course.
Not that you gotta be fake, but I'm saying like, you know, when somebody's just, and we all know, I mean, fake, plastic, all that has its own definition depending on the type of person you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. We all know, we all look through the same lenses to see these kinds of things, right? I don't want to change for nobody, right? But only if it's to better myself, right? Then that's when the authentic part of me is going to want to develop into something greater.
Yeah.
Right? It's, you know, and that comes from being around folks that, you know, think higher and they're wanting to do better for themselves already. And, you know, people that I can look at and say, oh man, you know, I like this about myself, but I like this about them.
Right.
So I think I want to add that to my arsenal.
Right.
What they have.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm still authentically me.
Yeah.
I still feel like but I'm just making myself better, you know, based on those good vibes I have around me. You know what I mean?
Right.
But again, this is all surface answers.
Yeah.
You know,
There's
so many ways I can go.
No, I appreciate that. Thanks, babe. Now,
all right, you can't keep bathing.
Let's go back a little bit. Before we met, I'm interested to know and would like for you to share with our neighbors, who were you becoming before we met?
Now, you gotta be more specific with this one, because are you saying before we met in the sense of totally? Or are you saying before we met in the sense of when I came home and we started?
I'm saying
before we started
dating.
Okay.
When you came home. I
think at that moment who I was becoming, I was really dying off from who I used to be. Because I had a lot of things about me that I did not like. There was a lot of things in me that I can say I entertained early on in life. And, you know, when you entertain something for a long time, sometimes that can become a part of you, you know, and you don't realize at that moment that you're becoming something that you don't like. But when you're so caught up in certain scenarios, you don't even realize half the time that you are that person, you know, and I think when I came home, I was so focused on not being that person, that old man that I was, you know, traits of, you know, times I had a lot of greed in my heart. I had a lot of, hatred in my heart in certain aspects, not in full aspects. And what I mean by that is just, if you weren't somebody that was cool with me, you were on the hit list, you know? Yeah. So I'll say that, you know, I had a lot of things about myself I did not like that I carried with me. And I felt that I knew that I didn't want to become that person anymore. So there were things that when, you know, before we started dating, I knew that I had to, and this was even before dating you was even a thought, right? I knew that I wanted to be a happier person, which I feel like I did become through the process of me being incarcerated, because, you know, like it really developed me to somebody I've never been, you know, in the sense of, being happy to wake up every day. Cause that wasn't me. You know what I mean? Also, I feel like I was becoming the person who wanted to become a good friend. Cause, you know, there was some, things I did in the past that probably didn't show that I was a good friend. I wanted to become a better mentor to those who sought my advice, and that I wanted to not only give advice, I wanted to live it as well. Right? Because we can give all the advice in the world, but if we're not doing nothing with it, then it's halfway accomplishing what it's supposed to accomplish. You may be helping that person, but you're not helping yourself. So I wanted to be a better mentor, because I knew that early on that the motivation that I had, the drive I had, and how quickly God was elevating me just in everything I was doing, whether it was school, whether it was finances, whether it was, just work, whatever it was, it seemed like God I had so much favor with him elevating me in certain areas that, I knew that I needed to become the person that, and I didn't have kids yet. Right. And I'm the type of person that thinks, 5, 6, 10 years ahead. I'm thinking like, okay, how would the 10-year version of myself, that person 10 years from now, think about who I am right now? And so based on the thoughts of who Robie is going to be in 10 years, I have to think from that perspective, and I had to think about things that I needed to change. So I felt like I was becoming just an all around better person, an all around, better friend, all around, I wanted to be loyal. I wanted to be, trustworthy. I wanted to be, locked in wherever I was at church wise, right? I wanted to be, faithful. I felt like these are the things that I was becoming. And I think throughout the course of time and before, us getting married, I felt like there was a lot of those, T's that I crossed. Yeah. By the grace of God. No, all glory to God. Through God's glory, he allowed me and gave me the wisdom to cross a lot of T's before I married you. Now, mind you, there are a lot of things, there's still work, right? But I felt like God did enough to prepare me for you. All surface answers, because like I said,
no, it's good.
I got a lot to say.
No, it's good. I really appreciate that. And I can honestly say and attest to it that even with who you're becoming, I see the growth in you. I see that you're growing in between all of the lessons, all of the shortcomings, all of the hard times, the challenges, even the great and the good times, right? The things that come out to be positive and like just a blessing. But you're growing in between all of those things, and I see the beautiful person you're becoming.
Oh, thank you. Trying to get out of this cocoon and spread my wings.
All right, butterfly, come on, spread them wings. All right. So the next question I have for you, I'll take a little time and let's dig a little deeper. What kind of man do you hope to become? I know it kind of went into this last question, so you can just kind of like touch a little bit of it because you kind of answered it a lot in the last question that I asked. But what kind of man do you hope to become?
This is a very interesting question. A lot of times, biblically, it talks about without a vision, the people perish. Like, you have to have some sort of visual in order to know. Well, me, I'm a visual person, so I have to have some sort of visual to know where I want to be, when I want to be there, and visually, these are things I see and I imagine these things. And the reason why I say that is because, and I have to be very honest with this one, when I met Bishop Rufus Turner, he really changed my life in a lot of ways, because I've never seen, and I had a lot of time to spend with him, I had a lot of times to spend with him, you know, during a lot of things. And I'm thankful for what God allowed me to see. And the man that he is, his mannerism, his character, the way he deals with everyone, you know, whether he wants to get up or not, he goes and does it. He gets it done. You know, I look at that and I see that and I say, I have a lot of work. However, I know that he's lived his life, and I know he just didn't pop up and was like that overnight. We all have a process. So when I see men like that, I feel that is, and I'm not going to say I want to be exactly like him, because God created me authentically me. However, I will say that as I do get older, and as I look at that person, I look at myself, you know, years from now and who I desire to be. I see him. I see a lot of the ways that I want to be like is like his character.
Yeah.
You know, even your grandfather. I know I told you that before. I think your grandfather is a beautiful person. You know, I don't want to be old and grumpy and old and don't you get away from me, or old and is just miserable. I mean, like, to me, I feel like you went through all your life and you didn't learn anything. You know, and every day I see the character of men like your grandfather, men like the bishop, even Pastor Trent. You know, when I see character like that, that is the visual of, you know, of ways of people that I want to be like.
Yeah.
You know, for me, that's what I visualize. Yeah. Again, not saying I want to be Pastor Trent, Bishop, your grandfather, but the character, the overall character, there was a process that got them there.
Yeah.
You know, and for me, I said, I can look at them and say, I still need work, but, you know, I see myself there. Also, I see myself as very successful. I see myself as a pillar of the community. I feel like I'm kind of there now in the sense of a lot of things God has allowed me to do. Not of any of my own strength or wisdom, because I'm not smart enough to do any of these things. But I feel like God has allowed me to do a lot now, and just in the age I am. However, you know, I see myself growing in ministry. You know, that person, then I don't know what it is God wants for me. I really don't.
Yeah.
But I know that, you know, when you go through a lot of trials in life, I know that calling is great. Whatever it is.
Yes.
And I embrace that.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Now going into the next question, it says, I wanted to ask you, what did you think marriage would be like?
Now, I imagined, I prayed for you even before I knew you were going to be my wife.
Yeah.
Before I even had a thought that we would be together. You know, before we started dating anything, I would always pray for my wife. I would say, God, wherever she's at, protect her, keep her safe. I would always say prayers, you know. I did imagine it, like, all the time. I would put my headphones on, I would put some slow music on, and I would even imagine myself walking down the aisle. I would imagine myself you know, buying a house. I would imagine myself getting a job, working, having kids. I would imagine myself years down the line going to graduation. Just a lot of things that I would put in my head and think about. And I don't think I had a real thought of what marriage would be like. Only euphoric and scary. Scary, because when you're giving yourself to someone outside of God, right? You know, you got to be, you have to make sure that you're thinking about that person in every aspect of your life. It's no longer about you. It's no longer about your emotions and feelings. It is, even if they're valid, but you still have to take in consideration that you have a whole nother person connected to you. So, you know, decisions that you would make before, you just can't go and make those same decisions like you would normally make them. You know, things that you would normally do, you can't do those things like you would without considering that person. And I think the fear of losing freedom, gaining a wife, losing those freedoms can be scary.
Yeah.
However, once, you know, you actually do get married and you actually go through it, it's a different perspective. But prior, you know, it's, like I said, it's scary, it's euphoric. For me, I just never wanted to fail my family because it's a responsibility. You're like, okay, you're going to get married, you're going to have kids. You know, I walked in fear a lot.
Yeah.
There were times I was afraid because, you know, I said, it was easy for me to hustle in the streets and do all of that. But when it comes to having a whole wife and kids and responsibilities, you're not worrying about yourself no more. I could go without eating for a day. They can't. I can't do that to them.
Yeah.
You know, I can't do that to y'all. So I think the responsibility of just being a man and taking on that responsibility, and you're not just looking out for yourself, I think that's kind of how I saw marriage prior to getting married, and in a whole lot of other ways. But again, surface answers.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Now, what surprised you the most once you got married? What surprised you the most?
Honest truth, that I had nothing to be afraid of. I was so afraid of failing. So afraid of failing. You see, especially I came out of prison. You know, I started off, I grew up in the church. We grew up in the church together. Right. You know, and then I, went out, did what I did, and got incarcerated. And, so I know coming out, everybody's all eyes on me because it's like, okay, this man, he just did this time, and, what is he going to do? I'm not, they're not looking at me like they're looking at somebody who hasn't done time. It's like, okay, this guy, is he going to go back? Or is he going to be one of those guys who's a user? Or what is he going to do? So, I think for me, I was so afraid of that failure aspect and what people would say and all of that. I'm at a place now, I could care less what people think, right? That was a process as well. Yeah. However, in the beginning, I was terribly afraid. And then before I got married, God had to confirm 3 different times through 3 different people and told me, do not be afraid of what you have. Do not be afraid of starting off with less. Do not be afraid. And 3 different times, and they all said it the same way. I knew it was from God.
Yeah.
And once, we got married and, I started deep diving into what I thought I was afraid of. It was euphoric and fearful at the same time. I thought I was afraid of it. And it's almost like the mother hippo with alligators and crocodiles. They'll send their baby into the crocodile pit, right? The crocodiles ain't gonna mess with them with the mama hippo right there, right? But she sends them out into the water with the crocodiles to get the baby comfortable with dealing with them, because the mother's saying, like, when you grow up, you're gonna be able to do what I'm doing. You're gonna be dominant. They ain't one little bite and it's over with, right? I think sometimes God pushes us into those fearful waters to experience and go against our own fears, just to realize that we had nothing to be afraid of because God has our back.
Yes.
Just like that mother hippo. God got our back. He said, listen, I'm trying to prime and prep you because, once you get to a certain place, you good.
Right.
You good.
Right.
And now it's like marriage for me it's everything. Yeah. I couldn't see myself not being married to you. There's not a plan B. I only have a plan A, and that is being with you for the rest of my life. So the fact that I've experienced it, I went into the troubled waters that I was afraid of. God never let me fail. Every time that I thought that something would happen, it never did. Never. God always lifted us up.
Yeah.
And now I'm so confident. I can go anywhere. I don't care where I go. I don't care what I do. As long as I'm with you, I know that God is going to bless us. Yeah. I know that. I know this. Why? Because I've been in those troubled waters with you. I've been that baby hippo, being pushed by the mama hippo to the troubled waters with the bad things in there,
Yeah.
Just to find out it ain't so bad. So,
well, I'm gonna take it back now and talk from my perspective, about who I was becoming before I met you. So I felt like I was a lost individual, that I was brought up in church all my life. And so for me at that time in my life, I had stepped outside of God prior to like a couple of years before Robie came back home and God was, placing him in my life. But I was dealing with some things internally. Like I didn't know who I was. I didn't know my value. I didn't know my worth. So I was just accepting any and everything, and looking for someone just to love me, not realizing that my true love came from God. And if I just was satisfied with him, that's all I had to do. That's all I had to do. And so finally I got to a place where God really just broke me and he allowed me to be refined. He put me in that fire just so that I could be refined. And in that process, I was beginning to get closer to him. And I had the strongest walk at that time in my life, that I knew nothing or no one could separate me from God. I began to love myself. I began to love God like no other. And I also had my kindergarten friend, Scotty. Shout out to Scotty. Love you, Scotty. But her mother said something to me one time. And she said, sometimes we're always looking for love. We're looking to see who is out there that's going to take us in and love on us, right? But she said, how about trying out being content with God? Just find yourself being content with God. And in that process, you tell him and you speak to him and you let him know what you're looking for and what you desire. And at that time I desired to be married. Everybody around me was getting married. They were engaged. I was like, God, when is it my time? I feel like I've been doing everything I'm supposed to at this time in my life. And I just was so just discouraged. And at this time we had a youth revival and a pastor came in and he prophesied over my life and he said, you're going to be married, but you're not going to just be married to anybody. Your husband is waiting for you at the altar. And of course I was like, oh, what does that mean? We all were looking at each other. It was a few of us because we were in different sessions, but the ones that was in my session were looking and they were kind of just like, who is it? Because we're all like, who is it? We're trying to figure it out. And he also instructed me. He said, when you get home, I want you to write down what you desire of this man of God. I want you to talk to God, write down as if you're talking to God. And I want you to place it where you can see it. And I have a few people that can actually attest to this and actually can say, like my younger sister, Raina, and our really good friend, Glenisha, she can attest to this. When they came into my room, I had the sticky notes, all of what I desired in my husband, all over and plastered over my mirror, because he did tell me to put it somewhere where I could see it every day. I can proclaim it. and pray for him as if he was already here. And not knowing it was going to be Robie, I just, God was already starting to prepare me and allow me to become the woman that was set for me to be, the wife that I was set to be for Robie, not knowing that he was also building me so that I can know how to love myself first and then be able to love him. Because if I couldn't love myself first, how can I love him? Right? How can I genuinely love him? So I began to just put in the work, and it was a lot of growth, a lot of growing, a lot of crying at night, a lot of tears, a lot of turmoil, a lot of challenges, even in the midst of all of those things. But I started to grow a sense of character that was stronger than what I was before. I started to realize that I wasn't as weak as I thought I was. I wasn't as much of a failure like I thought I was, that the mistakes that I made did not define my future, did not explain who I was. It didn't take away who I was. And so I was becoming this woman that was just meant to make a difference, to have an impact on people. I always wanted to make sure that when I come into the room, that I wasn't one of those that everybody's like, oh God, here she comes again. Let me go left. I didn't want that. I wanted people to just really feel like God's love and his presence, so I was becoming that woman that I could see was really blossoming into something beautiful, just like how even Tupac Shakur said, the rose is growing out of the concrete. Like I felt like I was in that element. Like I was really growing from like the most hardest challenging things that you could possibly think of for me in that time in my life and becoming into something beautiful. And so I feel like for the woman that I hope to become, to become a very great role model to my daughters, for one, because I want them to be able to see what it looks like to be a godly wife, to be a God-fearing wife, to be a woman that has standards, who has morals and principles and doesn't just take anything. I'm becoming the woman of God has destined me to be. One to love Robie like he deserves to be loved, how in the Bible that we've been instructed to love. And so I feel like I'm becoming that person that I was not yesterday. I was not 10 years ago or 20 years ago, that I am becoming someone that is new, that in some shape and form, not in everything, because I believe a lot of the things that God instilled in me, I know that is meant to be, and that should carry on through life. But I also feel like I'm becoming someone who is starting to realize life a lot differently. Like how we talked about in seasons, you change. And so in this time of my life, I'm learning to sometimes just get quiet and listen. You learn a lot in listening. So I'm learning to be more of a listener and not so quick to speak, not so quick to explain or to be on defense, but to listen and to learn. So I'm becoming someone that God is molding into a better version of me, a much better version of me. I'm not gonna lie. I thought marriage would be like fairy tale land. Like, just like how like the princess gets her prince and they become like in this royal castle, and it's, she opens up the windows in the morning, the birds are chirping and everything is just so grand and beautiful. And it has been that, but there's also been times where I have been tested. I've been tried to really just know if I was really built for this. And I feel like I am. I feel like I was built to be married. I was built to be a wife. Not every woman is meant to be a wife. But I do know that in that, marriage did look a whole lot different from what I thought it would be. I didn't realize that in marriage, there are going to be times where you're like, what is going on? Why is this happening? And trying to understand, where did I go wrong? What did I do wrong? How did I get here? How did we get here? Not realizing that sometimes we don't step out. We're not allowing ourselves to step outside of ourselves and really look at things for what it is. And even being driven by our emotions and not really what the situation is and addressing it for what it is. So like there's a lot of pieces to marriage that I think sometimes people set themselves up because they think it's going to be roses and rainbows and sunshine. It definitely has a lot of moments of that, but you have to also prepare yourself for the moments that are not roses and sunshines and rainbows. Because I feel like in marriage, you are tested. And for me, I feel like that's when you have to be closer together. You have to come together. You have to seek God together. You have to grow together. You have to build and give each other grace together. So that for me was an eye opener, and it did. It surprised me. That was probably the biggest thing. It surprised me because all of the marriages that I've seen, they made it look so easy. Like it was just like, girl, you don't got nothing to, like Robie said, you don't have nothing to be fearful of. But again, when I got into it, I was like, okay, you know what I mean? I love that I'm married. I don't take it for granted. I'm very grateful for that. But there's also part of me that's like, girl, you weren't really being logical either. You weren't really being logical. There's no fantasy. There's no fantasy land. This is real life. You know, you're two individuals who are coming together with different personalities, different perspectives, different walks, different experiences, and you have to learn how to grow together in love. And that was the most surprising thing for me. I just thought it was naturally just going to flow and we didn't have nothing to worry about and we were never going to have to go through anything. But here it is, 14 years later, and we're still growing. We're still learning. We're still building. We're still trying to figure ourselves out even at that, you know, because we have changed from when we first got married. So that was probably what surprised me the most. And that too was just even the change of who I was when I first married Robie, who Robie was when he first married me. Like, we're total different people from when we first married. Not totally, but there's a lot of factors that have changed in us individually. So I think that was the most I was surprised about.
Okay.
One thing I realized is that you didn't marry the woman sitting here today, and I didn't marry the man sitting here today. We both changed. What's one way I've changed?
That's a trick question. You ain't gonna get me. I'm gonna be able to turn my back to you in a few minutes, right?
I promise I won't get you. Just be honest.
I think you believe now. And what I mean by that is, you were very fearful about a lot of things.
Yeah.
You didn't have a lot of confidence. There were times that you would be depressed certain times, you know, and I think God has really taken you through a process. He's refined you. I think sometimes when we're experiencing, you know, depression and fear and, you know, worry about tomorrow and anxiety and all these things, I think it takes, going back to the Mama Hippo thing, you know, sometimes you got to experience certain things. You got to go in certain waters in order to understand who you are. Sometimes, unless something happens in life, you don't really realize who you are. David, for example, I'm sure he had the confidence to go and slay that giant.
Yeah.
But he didn't know who he was until that stone landed into that giant's head and he was victorious.
Right.
He knew then that he was King David. And what I mean by King David, you know, sometimes our biggest battles are the easiest ones if we just, if we just seek God.
Yeah.
And let God handle certain things. But we're all created different. I know that I'm the type of person that I got to hit my head a few times. You know, God has to say, you're not listening. So I'm going to keep having to take you through this over and over again until you get it.
Yeah.
Because you're the type of person that you got to experience these things. You got to experience what it feels like being depressed. It's not a good feeling being depressed, waking up unhappy. It's not a good feeling being in fear, not knowing what tomorrow may hold, you know. So I think that you have grown, tremendously. And there are other things I could say, but I don't want to get beat up. But I will say, those are the things that I can highlight. And I don't even see that in you anymore. Like, I don't. Even with, you know, like when you were getting jobs and going on interviews and stuff like that, and how your confidence has blossomed. Now it's like, there's no doubt that I know that whatever you set your heart out to do, you're going to do. Whatever job, whatever business, whatever you want to do, you can do. This version right now of you, I definitely appreciate, but I still appreciate the other version. right? Because it showed me that you were willing to change. You didn't want to stay who you used to be. Some people go through life and they never change. I was just talking about that old person. I don't want to be old and still miserable, old and still walking in fear, old and, still. And when I say old, I mean, older than I am now.
Yeah.
Old I could be 20 and old could be 30.
Right.
Older than I am now, And I'm proud of you because I know that a lot of the challenges that you have had, a lot of things that you've had to experience, even with me in this marriage, because, I'm a whole mess myself. So, it takes you and a whole football team and whatever to probably be with me. I'm so serious because, everybody has that wife that is anointed for that specific man.
Yeah.
Everybody can't wife like you wife me. So this is why God uniquely created you for me. And so I am proud of who you are right now. And the person that you are today is nothing like the person you were then, but you've always had the same character of love. You've always had the same character of just being an overall good person, so you weren't missing the mark that much. It's just certain things God had to work out in you.
Yeah. So
I love how much happier you are now versus then and how much more confident you are now versus then. People that meet you now, it's like, you have a full cup. You got a lot to give. So, yeah.
Thank you, babe. I appreciate that. I really do.
I told you don't be bathing me too many times now.
Sorry, I have to say it though, but I appreciate you. I really do. That was very encouraging and something I needed to hear because sometimes I think we can go through life and not realize the change and growth we're doing, the work that we put in and to see the results of it. You just kind of go with the motions, but I do feel that everything you said is definitely right on the nail. And I really, truly appreciate it. I do. Now, what's one way you've changed?
I feel, and when you say one way I've changed now, do you mean in this marriage? Do you mean in general, overall?
I feel like in this marriage, since we're talking about our marriage as pretty much as the face of this episode, what's one way you changed in this marriage?
I would say one way I've changed is, I think there's a few things that I've changed with. I think the one that sticks out is me understanding you more now than I did then. I think back then, and I still can be this way a little bit, but I think I've changed a lot. But I was one of those people who was very strongly opinionated. And when you had something to say, I kind of would disregard that and go off of what I thought.
Yeah.
This was a little while back, but we were riding in the car one day and you was just like almost, I don't know, it's like you zoned out and you just started like really just edifying me and motivating me and, saying all these powerful words, and at that moment I was like, man, and I was listening to you and I was like, man, I haven't really taken the time out to really listen to her speak because I was thinking at that moment, this is God honest truth. I was thinking, I was like, sometimes God speaks through the person that can get to you. I'm an introvert in a lot of ways. A lot of people can't get to me. Their words, sometimes I don't even hear certain people.
Yeah.
This is just the truth. I mean, there's nothing against them.
Right.
But at that moment, I said, man, with everything you were saying, and it resonated with me so much, like powerfully. And I was just like, my wife is a child of God. She is so wise. She has a lot of wisdom. I need to really pay attention to my wife and what God has given her to tell me. Because the words you were telling me, and you did it more than once, and you just like different times you just started, and I would just listen. And I started listening, and I started hearing the words that you were saying. And going back to that original time that you profoundly said things to me that changed my whole aura at that time, my whole thought process. I felt at that moment that some things had broken. And what I mean is off of me. Because sometimes we could be so self-centered, so caught up in our own ideas that we don't see all of the ideas and beautiful thoughts that is right before us. And you gave me that at that moment. And at that moment, I didn't see you the same. And since then, when you start talking and when you start going into detail about things, I don't care how deep, how important, how non-important, whatever it is, I like to listen now. Because at that moment then, I realized how wise you are. I realized, even at your job, why people look at you like they look at you. Because you're a very intelligent person. And God has given you so much wisdom. And I'm right here with a front row seat with it, and I've been missing out all this time. And so I can honestly say that I think that would be the highlighted thing for me.
I appreciate that. Trying to get me to cry on this podcast.
I'm just being honest.
On this episode. I know, I appreciate your honesty. I do.
It's not, I tell you a lot of these things.
You do. He does. And I'm not going to lie, but I think because we're so still right now, I'm like really intentional with conversation. Not that we don't on a normal basis, but I just think it's really, I don't know. I think I'm really just taking time, like you said, to just really just listening and taking it all in. So I really appreciate that. I really do. What's one thing you think we've learned together in our, in life? Like one thing that we've learned together as a couple. What do you think that is?
To forgive.
Yeah.
I think forgiveness for us is life. Without it, I don't think that we would have made it.
It's real.
I don't think any couple will make it without it.
Yeah.
Because there are some people that hold on to things and they never let it go.
Right.
So I think forgiveness, I think our willingness to always come back to each other, even if we don't agree, we have a fallout, which we don't have a lot of those, but when we do, when we're upset at each other, our willingness to always come back.
Yeah.
And get it right.
Yeah.
With each other.
Yeah.
Simple and plain.
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. I feel like that's a big key factor. And that's the thing I remember hearing even an older couple saying when I was watching some kind of video and they were asking them, how did your marriage survive all these years? And it was like 50 years that they had been married. And the gentleman said, forgiveness. He said, because if you can't forgive, then you can't love. The forgiveness is a part of love. It's a huge part of love, of showing love, especially in a marriage, because you can't move on or you can't move past or you can't go forward when you haven't forgiven. It's like you're trapped in a prison without physically being trapped. It could be a mental or emotional trap. You know what I mean? So sometimes that stunts the growth for a marriage because forgiveness is not there. So I can honestly agree with you on that I do feel like forgiveness is something that we both have learned and have even given each other on numerous occasions, and which it speaks volume because you're right. Not a lot of people can do that. So I agree.
When you can forgive, the Bible says love covers a multitude of sins. Mm-hmm. I don't think we really understand what that is. Mm-hmm. Joseph was with Mary. He thought Mary was pregnant by someone else. Now, he could have had her stoned. He could have had her publicly humiliated.
Yeah.
He could have did whatever.
Yeah.
However, he did not want to publicly change his relationship status with her. He wanted to do it in private so that she wouldn't be embarrassed. So that he wouldn't be embarrassed.
Right.
I think when you love someone, if there was something that they did that day that you didn't like, if it was a way they said something that you didn't appreciate, and sometimes you may have to go over this over and over and over again. Sometimes it can be frustrating.
Right.
But if you can always come back and give that person another try to get it right, like God does us.
Yes.
I think that's where, the success comes from in a healthy marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do agree. I agree. I totally agree. That's so real. So thank you for pointing that out because that's a true fact. Like it's a true fact. Forgiveness is key, people. It's key, neighbors. It's key. Marriage has a way of introducing you to yourself. What's one lesson marriage has taught you about yourself?
That I'm selfish. Because sometimes I want what I want and I gotta share. I gotta, not that I'm a selfish person. Funny, but, because it's like marriage teaches you that you're not yourself anymore. You have to be available for a child that has a need, your wife that has a need. If there's a scenario and you may be tired, but she's tired too. Me being the man, I got to get up and I got to go get it. Mean, if I got to go to the store and get the food or whatever, I have to do that. Yeah. It's teaching me not to be selfish. Right. I was being funny in the beginning.
No, yeah.
It's teaching me not to be selfish. It's teaching me to be more giving, to be more concerned with what is going on in my marriage then versus what's going on with me.
Yeah.
A lot of people think as the man, like, I'm the man and, all the decisions come through me and God is talking to me and, God may be talking to you. However, he gave us a helpmeet. And if you're not communicating with the person that God designed to help you, how are you going to get that help? If you're not utilizing that person, how are you going to grow? And what I mean by that is, I don't make one decision without my wife being in it. I don't make one move without me and my wife both making that move together.
Yeah.
I may present an idea. God may give me something, but I go to my wife and we are in agreement on how to move. And if I'm so dead set on, hey, God told me this, listen, we're going to pray together until God tell her what he told me. Then if God ain't told her, now I need to wonder did God really tell me this? Because we are one.
Yeah.
Right? We are one. So everybody thinks differently about marriage. I can just tell you what works with mine. Yeah. And what works with mine is there's no big me's, little nobodies, and no big hers, little nobodies. I'm the man of this household. I know my position. Yeah. But me and my wife are on equal playing field. You know, like I said, we do everything together. There's not one foot I put forward without hers being put forward. We make those steps together on whatever it is that we have going. And I would say, I think the biggest thing I've learned, is understanding how to utilize your wife, your kids to grow and having that vision. Right.
Yeah.
But I've also learned to be patient because there are things that you're probably not going to agree with.
Right.
However, you have to meet that person halfway. You have to understand that, hey, just as much as you have, you know, needs and this and that, they do too.
Yeah. And
they may not like something that you do. So you got to be patient with that person.
Right.
You know, you can't just say, oh, you know, I just feel like really being patient, really being selfless. I've learned how to put others before myself more so now than I did before I was married.
Yeah.
So, and I enjoy it because, you know, I love my family. So I don't really know how to answer that. No. I know I was just jibber jabber.
No, it made sense. It made sense. It really did.
For the sake of, for the lack of better words, I guess I'll use that.
Yeah. No, that's most definitely, I appreciate that too. Now getting into going into guiding us into discussing about learning each other, I want to ask you, what's something I do now that helps you feel loved?
I think you're very intentional about things you say to me. You love to encourage now. You know, and not only that, just your actions. A lot of things that you do for me. I'm not going to say what all those things are. There are too many to count. But you've been very intentional on showing me action. Even in things that I didn't ask for you to show action in.
Yeah.
And you show me action just to give me that much more confirmation of who you are. And you don't even have to do it, but you do it anyway. Just to show me how much you care about me. Ask me the question one more time.
What's something I do now that helps you feel loved?
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was on the right track.
You was on the right track.
And you tell me you love me all the time, and I feel it.
Yeah.
Our conversations.
Yeah.
I feel like how you treat me is like you're my best friend. That's what I get from how you treat me.
Yeah. And
it makes me feel loved. You know. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things.
Okay. Love that. And I do love you. What's something you've learned about me over the years?
Do we have this question already?
Did we? No, I think we asked a different question, but
in a different way.
Yeah, but no, it wasn't the same question. No.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't the same question. That's true. It was about how it changed. But what this question is asking, what is something that you've learned about me over the years? What have you learned about me?
Well, I learned that you go over and beyond for people. I've learned that when you have a task, you go over and beyond for whatever task it is that you have. People do not know that you will work on if they ask you to do something for them, you will be up until 3, 4 in the morning. They had no idea how late you were up just to present them whatever it was you needed to present them. Stop taking my wife away, y'all.
Gotta share the wealth. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah.
But what I'm saying is, you know, tell me the question one more time, just to make sure I'm.
No, it's okay. What is something you learned about me over the years?
Okay, so I'm on the right path.
Yeah.
But yes, you go all the way out of your way to really help people, to love on people, and you genuinely love on people. You know how some people, they'll do something for you and they be upset that they did it? Not you. Yeah. Like, you do things for people, and the heart condition and how you do it is something that I know reaches the heavens. I know that is something that is recorded in the heavens. And I'm proud of you for it.
Thank you.
You know, me as the protective husband, right? I'm like, you know, I don't want people using you, because sometimes people will see how much of a person, how much you go out for people, and you know, and they may come around and say, hey, you know, can you do this, do that, or whatever, and you still do it, even if there's not a thank you, even if there's not a, you know, I appreciate it, you know, you still do it as if like they did. You still go all the way out as if they was so thankful and appreciative of what you did. Yeah. And a lot of times they are. Yeah. I'm not saying people aren't, but you know, there are times that people, you know, but you still go out your way as if they did.
Yeah.
A great mother. A very great mother. I feel like the kids couldn't have had, there's not a duplicate. There's not, scientists cannot create a mock copy of you. You are truly authentic to this household. So, ask me the question again. I just want to make sure I'm on the right
What's
track.
something you've learned about me over the years?
The reason why I do this is because, you know, sometimes people come in and they don't know what we're talking about.
That's true. That's true.
No, I really forgot. Let me stop lying.
I cannot with you. I cannot.
But there's so many things, you know. Yeah. So I don't want to prolong it, but
no, yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate that again. And like I said, like we've mentioned already before, he tells me all these things even off the mic, so I really appreciate it. He's very good about just affirming who I am and just pouring into me, and you know, and vice versa. I pour into him just as much because he's a great man, a wonderful husband. So you know, why not?
Somebody trying to get some roses.
Well, I wouldn't pass it up. You know I love some flowers. But he does very good about that too, all the time. Just because. Not even because there's a certain special occasion. It's just because, you know, and I appreciate that. That means a lot. Because that shows me that he sees me and he loves me, and, you know, I mean something to him, you know? So, I'm grateful. What's one misunderstanding we've learned to navigate?
Now, this is a simple one. But it's the first thing that came to my mind, so I'll speak on it.
Go ahead.
As the kids were growing up, they had a real bad problem with good mom, bad dad,
yep.
bad mom, good dad thing. And what I mean by that is they may want something and go to one parent. One parent says no. Now it's time to go to the other parent.
Yeah.
Then that parent says yes. Now we're conflicted because one said yes already, and we're a household where we like to keep our word.
Yes.
And, you know, they kind of would play us against each other for a long time.
Yeah, good attitude.
However, you know, we had to catch on eventually. And eventually we said, you know what? If you tell your mom, did you ask your dad? Mm-hmm. And if you ask your dad, did you ask your mom? Mm-hmm. This is what we do. We don't even... You go ask your mom. Okay, you already told me now. Go ask your mom. Yep. We're not going to have no misunderstanding about what's going on with what you're trying to do. Now, once you ask her and she agrees, you know, I already told you I'm cool with it. Mm-hmm. But if she ain't cool with it now, it ain't happening. You got to get 2 yeses. You know, this is like America's Got Talent. You got to get 2 yeses. You might even get that golden buzzer if you say the right thing. You know, so... but I think navigating with our kids has been the biggest challenge in our marriage. Well, I ain't gonna say the biggest, and it's not, because we've had other challenges. Mm-hmm. But this is just something surface value off the top of my head. Yeah. I'm sure there are a lot of other things. I think we have done way better at understanding how our children work. I mean, all kids aren't built the same, but we've learned how our kids work. Yes. So I think we've navigated through those things.
Yes, I definitely agree on that too, because that was definitely something we had to learn. And I think sometimes you don't think about those things becoming parents. That's not even a thought, you know. Until you're in the situation and you're like, whoa, well, definitely didn't expect that one. So now we need to come back together to the table together and figure out a way how to resolve this issue so that the kids don't play on our, you know, I guess, I don't want to say weakness, but pretty much of unknowing what they're really doing. So we had to have that conversation and then actually sit the kids down and have that conversation with them and let them know, hey, you come to dad and he says yes, and you come to me and you want to answer, I'm going to pretty much tell you what did your dad say. And if he said no, I'm going to go with that. Or if he said yes, I'm going to go with that. Simple and plain. Simple and plain. So they started catching on, and they would even tell each other, don't go to mom and think she's going to say something different because she's going to go back and tell you to ask dad, what did he say? Yeah. So vice versa. So so they caught on really quickly, you know. So your kids, you can pretty much train them to really, really do what you are desiring them to do without forcing it on them. You know, just raising them up and giving them guidance and showing them, all right, although this may be what you're trying to do, but that's not going to happen, and this is what's going to happen. You know, so as the parents, I do feel like you set the tone in the household and letting the kids know who's in charge. Mm-hmm. And we did that very well. Very well, I see. Very well. Very well. I think one of the biggest misconceptions about marriage is that love is simply a feeling. But I've learned love is also a decision we continue making. What does still choosing us mean to you, babe?
What does choosing us, you and me, mean to me? Mm-hmm. Every day, it means our kids are happy. If I'm choosing us, it means our household is intact. If I'm choosing us, it means God is in the middle. If I'm choosing us, a 3-strand cord, you know, is stronger than 1-strand cord. Right. So every day that I do choose us, I'm choosing our household and everybody in it. Because the moment I stop choosing us means that now we have a broken home. Mm-hmm. Now we have children who don't understand or are conflicted about what is going on. That causes all kinds of behavioral issues, and it allows demons to speak, and it gives them a voice. So I think me saying yes silences those those forces and those things that can be disastrous, not only for, you know, myself, I mean, but the whole household, you know. I feel like the yes is powerful. Every day that we both say yes to each other is very powerful, because you ever thought about what the no would look like? Because I know I mean, like, I don't even want to think about the no.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
The yes is value. It looks like time that I'm putting in when I say yes. Looks like energy that I'm putting in. It looks like, you know, compassion and love. And when I say yes, I mean, these are the things that goes with saying yes.
Right.
Long suffering, patient, forgiving, you know, this is the yes. So as long as there is a yes, and as long as that yes is authentic, because you can have a yes, but it may not be authentic.
Right.
Some people say yes all day, but they're not with you.
Right.
They're not even in the household. In the household, you wonder why the household is already, you know, kids are not where you want them to be mentally, spiritually, in their grades. Financially, things are messed up. There's a lot of things going on, you know, in the household that is messed up, and we don't understand why. It's because you said yes, but that yes is not authentic.
Right.
I thank God for a Proverbs 31 wife that makes the yes that much easier. You don't want to. It's hard to say yes to some trash, for the lack of better words, some junk, you know. But when you're saying yes to a Bugatti, a yacht, and my wife is a yacht.
All right.
She's a Bugatti. She's that Range Rover, that big body Benz. That's my wife. So, you know, I'm gonna say yes all day to that, to them heated seats, and, you know, and to.
All right now.
To that warm steering wheel that gets warm when you drive. You wouldn't say yes to that?
I cannot.
You know, so
I cannot. So
my yes represents keeping my family together.
Yeah. No, most definitely. I feel like you just kind of even answered into this. So I'm not asking the second question, because you kind of just already answered it. You know, the question was going to be, how do we continue choosing one another? And I think you nailed it. Like, really just realizing what you have, right? Realizing the value in our marriage and not losing it, because the grass is not greener on the other side.
No, it's not.
It's not. Trust me. I've heard stories. I've seen things of what people, you know, experiencing in life and even in their marriage. And I've heard people, like I said, I get quiet and I listen now. And I've seen things where when you stop choosing each other, when you stop saying yes to one another, that's when chaos, confusion, you know, separation, you know, where you're on one island, I'm on another. We're not even one. We're not even together. We're not working as one. You know, we're not moving as one. There's no love. There's hostility, resentment, bitterness, right? So I feel like it's very important to, like, even when things get tough and get hard and you're challenged in your marriage, that you still choose to say yes. Now, I put a disclaimer in there. Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with an abusive relationship or abusive marriage. I definitely don't encourage that. I don't, you know, stand for that. So that would definitely be a hard no for me. But when there's things that are just like where there's differences or misunderstandings, or, you know, we don't agree, that's when it's not time to say I don't choose you or I choose to do me. That's not the time. The time is to say I still choose you. And in doing so, how can we come to a mutual ground? How can we compromise? How can we meet each other where we're at, where you're at, right? I can't just think selfishly about myself and what I want and my needs. I have to think about, hey, he expressed it this way. Even if I don't agree, even if I don't see it as such, his feelings are valid. He has emotions that he should be able to feel comfortably to come to me and express and tell me things and not walk away and feel less of a man. that's never something that should be taking place, and marriages should be building up and growing together and pouring into each other and trying to figure out ways to just make sure that the yes is always a yes, and not losing yourself in doing so, because I don't think that giving up yourself and trying to please someone, that's not authentic at all. And I feel like that's not a very good, solid, or valid yes. So I feel like it's still being able to be yourself, but yet meeting your significant other where they're at, knowing their love language, and being able to give them just that, not your love language, but their love language. And so I do feel like, yes, we do have, those are ways to continue to choose one another in spite of everything that comes up against the marriage. So thank you for that. Now, how do you love someone who is still growing?
That's easy. We all are made from dirt, right? And if we are all made from dirt, how can one piece of dirt say to another piece of dirt that you're dirty when we're all dirty? So, to answer your question, I'm in the process myself. So, why would I be so dead set on worrying about your process when I need to figure out mine? I'm still growing too.
Yeah.
I don't have time to pinpoint your flaws, because if I'm pinpointing your flaws, then that means that I'm not taking time to lift you up and build you up. Why would I want to tear down myself? We're one.
Right.
If I'm tearing you down and pinpointing what you got going on in your process, I'm tearing myself down. People don't realize that.
Yeah.
My thing is to highlight what you're doing, the things that you're doing well, and to assist you where you're weak.
Yeah.
Because 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be strong where you're weak at. And if I'm not, then we can pray together and we can ask God as two.
Yes.
Being one, where any 2 or 3 are gathered together, there he is.
Right.
So if there he is in the 2, and if we both have the same weaknesses, guess what? He's that third strand cord that we're talking about.
Right.
3 sticks are harder to break than 1.
Right.
So my thing is that I should only be loving on you and walking with you through the process. If you're having trouble tying your shoe, I need to get down there and tie it for you. And not only that, I need to tie it enough to where you can see and say, okay, I think I may know how to do that now. And that goes both ways.
Right.
Because there are going to be things that you're strong at that I'm not. And, where you're going to need to be strong for me.
Yeah.
Even recently,
That's real.
There's times you've had to be strong for me.
Yeah. You've been that for me too. You have, many of times. And that's the thing about it too, is that I realize is that when choosing to love someone while they're growing, it's not going to always look pretty. And it may be tiring, and sometimes it may be a little overwhelming, but that's when we go to God for help. Because I feel like when we lean on him, he's going to give us that strength to be able to help and uplift me to be able to uplift my husband, to be able to give him the strength and encouragement that he needs, the inspiration or the words or affirmations to help him where he needs what he needs, in the state of him growing. And so I feel like it's very important to, like you said, that love is at the center of it all. Because love definitely can do some things that, just like you think about this, I know many of you have heard even the story about the mother whose child was trapped under a car and she was able to lift that car up with her own bare hands. Love will make you do that. Love would allow you to see past their wrongs, see past their shortcomings, to see past what they fall short of. It allows you to be like, okay, I see them in the future. I see the future of them and how beautiful that looks. I tell my husband all the time, I said, well, just of lately, actually, God has like really just been revealing some things. And I tell myself, I feel like when the things that you go through is bigger than you. It's much bigger than you. I think that God has such a calling on your life that even in these moments of growth and development, that he's molding you to prepare you for what that bigger is. And I told him, I was like, I feel like if you just walk into it and you just start to just accept it in that calling and what God is doing in your life, I think even those troubles and those shortcomings and those challenges, they'll cease. They'll have to stop, and the enemy will have to flee, because he realizes that you have now tapped in and now have really sought God and really accepted that call to know that that bigger thing that he has for you is what is a part of your purpose and the will concerning your life. And in that, I feel like that love will water and will just allow for your husband, your wife to grow like they should. Love is that water. You just pour it on them as they're growing. And like I said, it doesn't always look pretty. Think about when you're going through gardening, the stages of gardening. You may see weeds, you may see bugs and pesticides, all kind of things. You may see all kind of things, right? You may see the flower go through its ugliest phase, but then once it finally gets to that full development state, you're like, whoa, that's what came from that? Because you watered it with love. And so I feel like that's the biggest thing, is like my husband was saying, is that you have to be able to love someone through their growth. Simple as that. Just love them through their growth.
A seed can't grow unless it's buried. Sometimes, even in relationships, we see that person going through the process and we want to change them. We want to, say, oh, you need to be this way at this time. If a seed was buried for one day in darkness, in the ground, in the dirt, do you think it would grow in one day to a full bloom, whatever it was? Mm-hmm. It takes time.
Yeah.
So while that person is going through their seed in the ground process, while they're in that dark place, while they're buried, you have to be that one that's on the outside of the dirt, just watering it. Mm-hmm. And the Son of God, which is Christ, shining his light on that seed while it's buried, and you being that person that's watering the ground, so that person can come out of that process beautiful. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You could stunt the process and not water it. And not watering it represents negativity. Watering it represents everything positive that you're putting in that person.
Yeah.
Watering it represents you having that person's back even when they don't know how to have their own back.
Right.
Watering that person while they're in their dark place and while that seed is in the ground is saying, I believe that this seed is going to be something. Even though I can't see what God is going to create this seed to be.
Right.
This thing is buried in prayer. And praying for that person while they're going through their process.
Right.
Which is the biggest thing. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times we skip that element.
Right.
Praying until something happens.
Right.
Watering that seed. Because once that seed grows, and we know that there are many different kinds of seeds and all seeds aren't the same. You don't know what seed your significant other is. You don't know what kind of seed they are.
Yeah.
They may be an apple tree, they may be a plum tree, some may be an oak tree, some may be this. But you don't never know the greatness that God has placed in them. And that seed that you're watering, you may be growing a full-fledged, what's the tree called? The mustard tree, that grows to be one of the biggest trees out there, So you never know what you got. And if you're constantly the type of wife, husband that's tearing that person down, that's not trying to build them up, you're just sabotaging yourself. Try watering the ground, and while that person is in their dark place, and they're buried, water it a little bit, pray and call out to God so He can shine on them, and something great can sprout up, because it will.
Yeah. If
you're consistent, you just can't leave after one day. Like I said, people ready to give up after one day, one failure. Right. You ain't growing.
Right.
You know what I mean? I went out there and watered. I prayed for you. I prayed for you for a week. I ain't seen no growth. There may be growth in that burial place. Growth doesn't start above ground. It starts below ground.
Right.
Right? And roots grow two separate ways.
Right.
So roots grow down and it grows up. So you got to let that person in their dark place be able to get rooted. God is working on them whether you know it or not.
Right.
So I think this is a very, very big thing in marriages that people don't pay attention to. They're just quick to give up. And then guess what? What happens is somebody else sees that seed is valuable, right? And they go over there and they start watering, and they start praying, and then you are far off and you seeing what that seed became, this big old tree, and that person reaped the harvest and didn't have to go through much. Right. You went through all the turmoil and all of that, and then you gave up.
Yeah.
So anyway, I know this is a long answer, but it's very important because the process is important to understand, because some people don't understand people's processes.
Right.
You know what I mean? You have to look at yourself when you're looking at that person. It may be something about that person you don't like. But what is it about yourself that is not liked?
Right.
Beauty fades. It don't last forever.
Yeah.
So, you're not going to be handsome forever. She ain't going to be beautiful forever. And what I mean is to the eyes, but my wife will always be beautiful to me.
You'll always be handsome to me. Thanks, babe. Let's slow things down a bit and ask some fun and lighthearted questions. You ready? Who's more patient?
You.
You think I'm more patient?
I think you are.
Yeah.
It depends on the scenario.
Yeah, true.
I think.
True.
Because I think I'm patient in certain areas, but I think you're patient in a lot more areas than I am.
Okay. All right. I will agree on that one. I think I am a lot more patient. Robie, he's a person that likes instant, kind of thing. So, he can be patient in certain situations, but he does love to be, instant with it. Like, okay, why are we waiting? What are we dragging for? What's going on? Like, let's hurry this up. Let's pick it up. Let's go. Let's make it happen, So I agree. I definitely agree. Who's more funnier?
Me.
Robbie is funny. He is definitely funny.
I'm not like this with everybody's not going to see this side of me. Because like I told you earlier, I'm guarded. Yeah. I don't give everything to everybody.
Yeah.
If I sit and laugh and joke with you, or if I open up to you about something in my life, that is something for me.
Right.
And that means I see you as something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because everybody don't get that part of me.
Yeah.
Now, the funny, goofy part, a lot of people don't see that part.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
That is true.
Again, like I said, you're my safe place. So I know I'm not going to be judged. I know I could be authentically myself. I could be as corny as I want to be. I could be as goofy as I want to be. I can be as dumb as I want to be. If I want to say something dumb, I could do that. Yep. I know that I'm good with you. I know that I don't have anything to worry about when it comes to you. Not that I care what anybody thinks, but I'm just saying, like, I'm in a safe place with you. So
Yeah.
I think it's me.
Yeah, and I'll give it to you. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. He is very funny. He's hilarious. I'm not gonna lie. Some of my fondest thing that we do together as a couple. Sometimes when we're just like out and about, we do a lot of people watching, and so him and I will do like our storytelling. And so we were like, what you think this couple is saying? Or what do you think this mom is telling her son? Or what do you think how this dad is reacting with having the kids by himself? So we were like, he's probably saying, and the stuff that Robie says, boy, I'd be like, I promise, if I was right there with those individuals, I guarantee that's probably exactly what they're saying. Cause he just seemed like he's nailing it. It's like, oh my God, he's the voice for them. It's hilarious. I promise it's hilarious.
I'm going to do a voiceover quick, faster than her.
Yeah, he does really good.
But you do
even
too,
with animals, oh my God.
No,
it's
you're
hilarious.
Good too. I think we bounce off each other.
We do. And that's the thing that we do enjoy the most is to laugh.
It's big.
It's to laugh. Laughter doeth like a medicine. It's very true. Like even when we're in some challenging times, sometimes we find ourselves laughing at the situation because that's what makes us feel better, and instead of getting into that place where we're just in that dark, real depressed state, so I just really am grateful that we're able to laugh together.
It is like medicine. And it breaks chains.
Yes.
Because how can you be mad at somebody that you're laughing with?
True. Very true. Very, very true. Good point. Who apologizes first? Be honest. Go ahead. Tell them. Tell the people. Tell the neighbors. Tell them. Nah.
You probably apologize before I do. I'm more of a person that I will apologize if I feel like I'm wrong. Sometimes it takes me a little time to realize that I'm wrong, if I am wrong. Mm-hmm. And when I do realize that I'm wrong, then I'll come back and apologize. Mm-hmm. However, the very rare times that I want to compromise and the times that I feel like I'm right, are the times that I have to feel like we're on the same page. Like we're not, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, I don't have the word, so I'm not even but I feel like, you apologize quicker. Mm-hmm. Me, it takes me a little time. Yeah. And I'll but I will always come back and apologize if I feel like I'm wrong.
Right. No, I agree. I do feel like
that was a hard answer. I need work.
Look, hey, he didn't want to admit it. That's what it was. It was like, wait, that's a hard question because now I'm starting to self-reflect. Like maybe I need to work on that. But he does come back around and he does eventually apologize. So I'll give him that. I definitely will give him that.
Well, I'm a thinker. I need time to think about it because it may not seem like that at the time. I have to analyze and come back and, I'm not somebody who's on the surface just like, oh, yeah. I was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I understand. I get it. Next question. Who's more sentimental? I think you are. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like you are.
I'll give it
to you.
I have my grandmother's Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandmother passed away probably 5 or 6 years ago, maybe 7 now, I don't know. Mm-hmm. And my grandmother meant everything to me, and for the life of me, I kind of dealt with her death for a while silently. Mm-hmm. And one day I was going through some stuff and I saw her old Bible and something told me to open it. And so when I opened it, my grandmother had put our whole family history in that Bible. Mm. Everybody's names, everybody's who they were to who, and everybody that had passed away. I ain't gonna lie, I teared up a little bit when I seen it. Yeah. And it really meant a lot to me. Now, eventually I'm going to probably put it in a glass case and hold on to it. I'm not attached. I want this disclaimer. I'm not attached to the thing.
Right.
I'm attached to the memory attached to the thing. Mm-hmm. And, God said, I don't want you to have that. I mean, I quickly give it away, but I mean, this is my grandmother's Bible. So
right.
I doubt that.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I think I do. I am a little bit more sentimental probably than you are.
Yeah, I do. I believe that. I can't even deny that. He is. He really is. Okay. What's your favorite date that we've had? What's your favorite date?
Man, we've had so many. I don't even know how to describe.
So many.
Now date as in like a date night? Or?
Yeah, date night. Cause I don't want to say a trip or anything cause we've had really good ones, but like an actual date night where it was just you and I, we either spontaneously did it or we planned it. I can think of one.
I got a few. Okay. If you want to go.
I think about when we lived on, Erica Place.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say it was shortly after we had Zion, our last child, our youngest one. And Robie, I don't know how he did it because, I mean, granted, yes, the way that our backyard was set up, it could be easily done, but it also could have been not as easy. Okay. And our bedroom had a sliding door to go outside. And as well, if you were in the kitchen, you could see the backyard too. And honestly, I still to this day, I don't know how he did it because he set it up while I was in the house. I could hear everything, but I didn't hear anything. He set up a table, had it fully decked out, roses, petals going all the way out to the outside where it was set up at, candlelight, had something to drink for us, had a full course meal, had music back there. The lights were, of course, off because it was outside. It was dark. It was it seems simple, right? It seems like it's very little to probably someone, who's very small minded. I don't know. But for me, it was everything. It was everything because of the thought, the effort, the energy, the genuineness behind it. Like he literally was so and you could just see it all over his face. He was just glowing like, babe, I love you so much. I just had to. And I don't even think we were doing it for a special occasion. It was just because, you just chose to do it. And it was perfect. And it was what I needed. Because, of course, as you know, after having a baby, sometimes you can deal with postpartum. You can deal with a lot of, mood swings and just trying to get back to the norm. And I was struggling at that time. I was really, really struggling. There was a lot of things going on with family life outside of our marriage. There were a lot of things going on with me trying to transition into being a mother of 3, trying to balance being a wife, and being a help to everyone else, and still even trying to figure out how do I meet my needs. And at that time I was low. I was kind of sad. I was down. And Robie, it's so interesting how God works. Like when it's meant, this is like one of the ways that you could tell because you don't have to say anything to your husband or your wife. They just know you. They could just feel it. They can see it. They just know. And I think he felt it and he knew in that moment that I needed that. And he said, I just want to take you away and I asked, at the time we had his grandmother living with us, love Jima. And my mother-in-law was living with us and my father was living with us. And he asked everybody pretty much, hey, keep an eye on the kids. I just want to spend some one-on-one time with Netta. And they all pitched in and did just that. Not one time did the kids come out and bother us because they were real little at this time, but not one time. And even with the baby, they had, made sure she had milk and everything. And they took care of her and we were able to enjoy that full night by ourselves. And it was so amazing. And that was, like I said, it was, there's many, many times we have wonderful dates, but that was one that really stuck out to me. What was one for you?
Now, okay, so it was a date night I actually planned, but there are many that you planned, but I like this date night. The reason why I'm saying it, so it was when we surprised when I surprised you with a view of Frisco on the mountain.
Oh my God, yes.
I don't know if you remember that.
Of course, I can't forget that.
So we were on the mountain and I had a whole thing set up. There was a whole nice little inside setup thing like that, but you can see the stars.
Yes.
It was right off the mountain and you can see the stars.
The city.
The whole city of Frisco from there.
Beautiful.
I even had a TV set up in there to watch movies.
He did.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I liked that day. That was so much fun, and it was such an experience.
Memorable.
Yeah.
Very memorable. I love that. I always think about that time too. Beautiful.
I got one more.
Okay, go ahead.
The time that you surprised me, and we went up that mountain on that thing.
Oh yeah, you're talking about in Palm Springs.
In Palm Springs.
Yes.
And we went up that whole big mountain.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. It's called an aerial tram.
Yeah, I'm terrified of heights, but that was the most beautiful, scariest thing I've ever seen in my life. I've never been that high up on a mountain, and I didn't know that they had a restaurant on top of the mountain. You had to start from the ground, and you had to go on this thing.
Yep, the tramway.
The tramway, whatever. On a string. That's what it was.
On a string?
It was on a string.
I could die.
At least that's what it felt like to me. And it went all the way up to a restaurant at the top of this mountain. Thousands of feet up.
You could see below you. You could see in front of you. It's beautiful.
And once you get up there, like, it is breathtaking when you look down.
Yes.
Scary and breathtaking at the same time. I thought that was so dope.
Yes. And even coming back down, remember when we got to see the sunset? Oh my God. Yeah. It was like perfect timing because I was doing so much research, and it was like the best time to go on the tramway is to go during the sunset, which is like 6 o'clock, 7, somewhere around there. And we came down. Oh my goodness. Beautiful view. So romantic. I remember that too. Awesome. What's one thing we'll never stop doing together?
Dating.
Yeah, seriously.
We just, seriously, laughing.
Yes.
Smiling. Loving. I mean, well, that's not doing. That is doing.
Yes.
Loving each other. Being there for each other. Having each other's back.
Yeah.
That's a long list.
Yeah, it is. And I agree with all of those things. Neighbor, before we leave today's conversation, I love to leave you with 3 questions. What relationship has shaped who you are becoming? How have the people you love challenged you to grow? And the last question, are you growing with people you love or simply growing older besides them? Don't answer me, answer yourself. Before we wrap up, I just want to say thank you, babe. Thank you not just for loving me, but for continuing to grow with me. The woman sitting beside you today isn't the woman you married, and I'm grateful that you've made room for me to keep becoming, and I hope I'm doing the same for you.
Wait, you're not the woman I married? Where's my wife at? No.
Oh my gosh.
I'm joking. No, thank you. And I appreciate you. I do.
One last question. When people leave this conversation today, what do you hope they remember?
Well, I hope that they can look at the blueprint of our marriage. And I know it wasn't a lot, but it was a lot, but it wasn't a lot. And just take jewels out of some of the things that we've said, like Pastor Trent said today, spit out the bones, chew the meat.
Yes.
It's an old saying, but I ain't heard it, I used to. But anyway, I would say, taking some of those jewels and applying them to their own marriage, especially those who just starting out, or, even those that have been married for a while. I mean, you may, some people may not be happy in their marriage. Maybe you need to start supporting your partner through their process. Maybe you need to wake up one day and say, hey, I'm not going to argue with you anymore. I'm going to start being patient. I'm going to start listening. There's many takeaways. Maybe it may be that you don't date enough. Maybe you need to still date your wife. I'll never stop dating my wife. we can be married 1,000 years. I'm still going to be, dating you. Okay. So I think the thing that highlights for me is just looking at things that we have talked about in here on this podcast. I know we haven't gone in a lot of detail, but just with the surface things, applying certain things because and everything doesn't work for everybody. Yeah. But applying what works for you.
Right.
Taking what you can out of whatever you heard and applying what works for you. Yeah. Because if it worked for us, it definitely can work for you.
Man. Thanks, babe. Thanks. I appreciate that. Neighbor, thank you for pulling up a chair and spending this time with us. If today's conversation reminded you of someone you love, send it to them. Maybe it starts a conversation you've been meaning to have. Maybe it reminds someone that relationships don't grow because time passes. They grow because people choose to keep showing up. Until next time, keep showing up, keep listening, keep becoming. I'll save you a seat. See you next Friday, neighbor.